Welcome to the Startup Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Steven Trutter. After over 800 plus successful dental startups, I'm here to share everything I know about starting a profitable and purposeful dental practice with you. Welcome back to the Startup Dentist Podcast. Super excited for today's episode. We're going on a couple of journeys. So a couple episodes that you're going to be hearing here soon. I just dropped a new episode that you'll hear from one of our current clients going through the journey of her startup, talking about those real fears, talking about the cost, talking about the stages and the decisions and the input that she's doing at this point during the process of her startup. So check out one of those first episodes where you'll hear from Dr. Melissa in her journey. Today, unique. Where are they now? I would say these are graduates. These are established practice owners that have done startups. Super excited for today's episode. Here's what I want to do is I want you to think about, so this doctor you're going to hear from today, $1 million producer in his first year, built a highly successful practice, now is in the midst of expanding his practice because he's outgrown it. But 7 years ago, he didn't know exactly how to start up a practice, but now he's got one that is not only thriving, but growing continuously day after day. So joining me today on one of our first episodes Where Are They Now? Is Dr. Ben Friberg. Not only is he a great dentist, but he's also the author of The 7-Figure Practice. And he's also, after almost 7 or 8 years, a dear friend of mine. So what's up, my friend? How are you?
Good morning, Steven. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. If you're watching, we're having the coffee talk across the breakfast table here. I got like morning sexy voice, like I'm like the radio guy, like, hey, everybody, this is your DJ here for the morning spin at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I need a little extra coffee for the vocal cords. So let's go through this, my friend. I know your journey so well, but let's go back in time 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You were this young guy, didn't know where to go. There was no path in life. No, there was a path in life.
Well, yeah, I want to go back further a little bit.
Yeah.
And because I have a little bit different path into dentistry I have a business management degree and a minor in construction engineering. And I ran a pretty successful commercial construction company for several years.
Yeah.
We had $2 million in revenue, had 100 employees, and realized it wasn't the path that I wanted for my life. And I transitioned into dentistry in my early 30s. And having all that business experience, I knew that I did want to be a business owner. I didn't want to be an associate for my career. The path to ownership was always the path that I was on.
Yep.
And I knew, having gone through dental school, and I knew what it was like to run a business. And for me, when I graduated, I knew immediately, like, I wanted to do a startup. I wanted to create my own thing. I didn't want to buy somebody else's practice. I didn't want to buy somebody else's problems, old equipment, Yep. And so as soon as I graduated, I decided that I was going to do a startup, and I knew that I wanted to do it right. And I knew that, given my business experience, that the fastest way and the most profitable way to success is to work with somebody who is better at it than I am, is to find the experts in the field, surround yourself with experts. And that was going to be the cleanest path to success.
Yeah. Was there a point as an associate? Because obviously I remember, right out of school, you're like, I'm going to do this. What was associate life for you, though? I mean, because I think a lot of our listeners always think about like them as associates. What were you producing? What were you tolerating as an associate? Or was it always like, was there a moment you knew this? It wasn't that path, or like you knew, like, I'm doing my own practice? Because everybody has a different thought process. And, I think a lot of doctors, like, they tolerate things for years and go, I can't do this anymore. But I don't think there was a toleration. I think it was more like you knew where you're going. But did you see things as an associate that were like, I know I don't want that as a part of my practice?
Yes, for sure. I had the opportunity to work in 3 separate practices before I ended up fully engaged in the startup process. And the first one was a Medicaid practice that I had a lot of autonomy, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the autonomy. I got to make my own decisions. I got to spend the time I wanted to with patients. I was a solo practitioner in a Medicaid practice right out of school. But the challenge was that I wasn't making any money. I was very, very limited to my income potential there, and ended up moving cross country from Portland, Oregon to Wilmington, North Carolina. Story for another time.
Yeah. We can tell a little bit of the story. The story
It was
kind
a
of
great
goes like
stick. Yeah,
the
so I
kind of
just
the
took my
story
wife
kind
on
of
a
goes
real
like this. I don't think I want to be here. Oh, okay. So we want to look outside. So folks, we were looking at demographics. We're starting to look for real estate,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, Dr. Ben calls us and says, I don't think I want to be here. Oh, so we want to kind of look outside of Portland? I'm going to move to Wilmington, North Carolina. Oh,
Right.
okay.
So we're really looking outside. What was cool about that story, though, it was that my wife and I knew we were doing the right thing, but we also knew it was in the wrong place.
I think for those that are listening, I think that's profound because we talked to so many associate dentists and like, it's a funny story. I was talking to like an associate literally yesterday, and he was asking about like demographics of marketplaces and things like this. And I think there's this thing of like, let's go chat GPT everything, or let's go make everything down to a financial decision. It was like I was having this conversation with this doctor, and it was like, hey, is the reimbursement rate over in this market going to be better for me? And it's like, you don't make a decision on where you open a practice on what do you think the reimbursement rates are. And the thing is, I think his question, it came from, unfortunately, we'll go kind of talk through this, like it came from social media, because he had posted things about like, hey, here's the demographics for the area. And he's like, hey, so do you think this was better? And it's like, well, let's go start with like, where is life going to take you? For you and Ella and your family, it was like life was first, because there is statistically like, yeah, I'm sure there's statistical information that would say this area could be better than another, but it don't make a decision on that. It's not like there's no dentist in Wilmington, North Carolina,
That's right.
There's a couple.
So we kind of pressed the pause button and we moved all the way across country.
Yeah.
And started getting established in the community, trying to understand where we wanted to live and where we wanted to open the practice. And I got to work for two different practices here. One was a DSO that was incredibly well run by an absolute super GP, but I didn't thrive in that environment because of the restriction that there was because of the DSO environment.
Yeah.
It was all managed. It was never led. And so it was just, what are your numbers? Why aren't you hitting them? This is what you need to be doing. No time off, no freedom, no autonomy.
Yep.
And then I went for another practice, and that was the exact opposite. It was the wild, wild west. I mean, it was the insane asylum was run by the patients.
Zoo
ton of
being
autonomy,
run by the animals.
A lot of great dentistry. And I was producing well over $1 million in that practice. I think awesome. The last year that I was there was 1.1. I was making great money. Had a great time. Loved the people I worked with, but the quality of care, both from an actual dental perspective, but also from a interpersonal perspective, wasn't what I wanted.
Yep.
And it was really, having those experiences, like, I have to do this myself.
Yep.
I have to be in control of the way that the patients are cared for and the quality of the dentistry.
Yep.
I wanted to be systematic and managerial, but I also wanted to lead and be able to care for people the way that I wanted to. And that was what really drove me from associate to ownership.
Love that. Speaking of like the journey and things like that, why didn't you go alone? Why didn't you DIY your startup?
Because I didn't know enough, and probably still don't, of the ways that the industry operates from a commercial perspective. The nuances of equipment selection, the nuances of construction of a dental practice, the nuances of insurances, right? All of those things are specialties within a greater industry. And the reality of me trying to operate at a high level for associate income, to be a dad, to be a husband, to have my hobbies and maintain a quality of life, there's no way that I could have acquired all the necessary information to make great decisions, to establish proper relationships, to be successful and not have a bunch of blind spots and pit in my stomach of, did I do this right, or am I getting taken advantage of? Are these people being honest? What don't you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I knew that from before, from my construction industry, having built it from scratch, but with very little support. And there were multiple times where those were the truths that I dealt with. And dentistry is significantly more complex. Significantly more complex. This is a medical practice that I'm trying to start. I'm not going to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
What did you think it was when working with, obviously having a consultant there? What were your expectations and what did it turn out to be?
My expectations, I think one of the best analogies I can say is that my expectations were for bumpers in the bowling alley. I know what a strike is. I know I've got to throw the ball, but I need somebody on the sides, keeping me with that ball going down the lane to give me the best opportunity for a strike.
Yep.
I still got to throw the ball, right? I still got to make the decisions. I still got to do the work.
Yep.
But I needed those bumpers. Hey, don't go this way because this is going to be too expensive, and don't go this way because it's going to be too cheap. Here's the middle ground. This is where we want you to.
Yeah.
This is where success lies.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was the biggest thing for me that I got from the time as a client of yours, was that I always felt like I was in the best place to throw the ball to get the strike.
I like to liken it saying, you drive, I'll give you the roadmap. You're the driver, of this. So I love that.
Yeah, I think the danger is some other consulting companies out there that I interviewed before I started working with you guys were trying to sell like a turnkey, like if you do, this is how you do it, and you get somebody else's practice. And if it's not successful, it's still your fault. Right?
That's a tough pill for me to swallow. I'm like, listen, I don't want to own a dental practice. I'm good.
Yeah, like it was, Ideal Practices was the most upfront about the process, about the expectation. Like, you got to do the work. We're going to be here with you every step of the way. And you're going to get the practice that you want at the end.
Yeah.
Not the practice that the boilerplate, this is the tried and true, I don't want to throw any names at other companies, but there were some that were very standardized. This is how you do a startup.
Yeah. Come
to our seminars, pay us a bunch of money. We'll give you this book, and then you can, pick the specific wall tiles, and this is where you put the ceiling on the TV. And it was a boilerplate startup.
Yeah.
And they all looked the same.
Yeah.
You could get on Instagram and be like, oh, I know where that came from. And it didn't reflect who I was. It didn't reflect the practice that I wanted to build. Like, you come into my practice and you walk into my home and you'll say, oh yeah, that's Ben Friberg. That's his stuff. And that's what Ideal Practices allowed me to create.
It's been awesome. Your journey has been awesome. So what nobody says about the first year. What's the first year like of ownership? Now, it's been a couple years. You're getting, you're OG now,
Well, there's a lot more gray hair in my beard. That's for sure.
I shaved mine. I'm hiding the gray underneath a hat today. So
what's interesting? In the first year, it's a roller coaster of highs and lows.
Yeah.
Like, one of the stories that I love to tell is that on my, what's it called? Your dress rehearsal day, right? When you bring in patient 0 to practice the practice.
Yeah.
After my dress rehearsal patient, I had another patient show up who wanted to be seen. She thought her appointment was a week from then, but she showed up during our dress rehearsal, and we're like, we're going to see her right now.
Yeah.
And we closed a $10,000 case on day 0. Right. That's a huge high. We're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. And then there were days where the practice was completely empty. I had zero patients for that day.
Yep.
And that's just how it went for months.
Yep. Of
just high highs. Oh my gosh, we great collections, great. The phone was ringing off the hook, and then looking at each other like, what are we going to do today? It's like, we got to be here, so we got to answer the phones. We got to be, if there's an emergency, like we want to be available. That was something that I think everybody should be prepared for.
Yes.
And that's okay. And that's the other thing is like, and that's okay. Part of the process.
Yeah, that's the real part. Yeah, because I think, I don't want to paint this rosy picture of like, this is easy. No, it's not. It's a startup. It's a startup business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can come out of the gates fast, but there's still going to be those days where it's like, well, it's slow. What do? Go find patients. Go make connections. Go be within your community. In that first year, what went right? What didn't? What surprised you?
I think I was surprised at how long it took external marketing, so advertising through my marketing and website company, to ramp up.
Yep.
That was a slower process than I anticipated. It really took about 4 months before some of those campaigns and started to actually to really start to show results.
Yep. We say 90-ish days. Yeah, that's
Yep. And that was my experience too. About 90 to 120 days until I'm like, okay, now this is a predictable flow. And I was just really glad there was the marketing plan that Ideal Practices had given me that was all the things that I could proactively do outside of just paying for marketing.
Yep.
Because those were the patients that showed up. Those were the patients that bought from me. Those were the patients that helped me be profitable in my first month.
Yep.
Were the ones that came from the Ideal Practices marketing plan.
Yeah. We always say your first 100 patients are on you.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
and they have to be. And you've worked with some of our clients in that role, like, it's like you've lived that, knowing that those first couple of months, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, when you start up your practice, don't think like, oh, my Google ads are going to work from day one. My meta ads, like, you want to get butts and seats. You have to go get them. You need to be at events. You need to be connecting with your community. You need to be able to find where these elements are. Like, that's the plan. You need to make connections with other local area businesses. You need to be able to find where those patients are, have those connection points, because those first 100 patients they're on you, not on an agency. They're on you. And that is a reality, because this is not a knock on agencies. Like, those campaigns take time. It's algorithms. It's all these different things that I don't even 100% understand, of like the things that work behind the scenes, that those take time to permeate. And you're a new website, you're a new Google ranking into their index. All those things take time.
Yeah. And the other thing you have to realize too, is that if it's a cold lead that came from a search, they're going to go to your Google reviews, which you don't have yet. So to get people into your office, you have to have a warm lead. You have to be able to do the work, to sacrifice the time and energy and your ego to go meet people in public and build relationships, inviting them into your practice to be those first 100.
Bingo. To
get to that critical mass of 5-star reviews, so that your marketing can start being effective. But if you sit back and just say, my advertising's not working, you and I can talk about this forever about marketing and advertising. But yeah, that first 100 patients, they come from your ability to be a positive member of your community.
Yeah.
To grow your practice. Yeah.
Don't look at it and say, my agency didn't work in the first 90 days. Like, what are you doing to work? Go out there and get those patients. Because if not, you're going to be that dentist that's on every social media post going, hey, who's everybody using for their marketing agency? And then 3 months later, hey, who's everybody using for the marketing agency? And then 3 months later, hey, it's the same doctor asking the same question over and over again, because they're looking for the matrix blue or red pill of like agency. And it's like, it comes down to like, no, that's your fault. You're not getting patients in the door. It's not an agency problem. It's like, oh, I didn't know I need to go get patients. Where do you think they come? Like, go out there. So some logistics things about like your first practice, because you're going into location number 2. A lot of people want to know, like, how big did you start? Like, how many operatories? Like, give us a little bit of those logistics, because everybody wants to know, like, how big, how many operatories would you start off with?
I started at 2,500 usable square feet.
Okay.
6 chairs.
Okay.
Yep. And so we've grown the practice now.
But you didn't equip all 6 from day one.
No, sorry. I started with 3 chairs.
Yep.
I started with 1 assistant, 1 front office administrator, and myself.
Okay.
And that was the core for about 3.5 months.
Yep.
I then hired a part-time hygienist.
Okay.
And then by December, so that would be 7 months open, I hired a part-time assistant. And then in February, this was February 2020, I ordered 2 more chairs to go to 5 ops. Because at that point, we were averaging about 45 new patients per month. And then there was a global pandemic. Some people might remember that.
No, I live in Florida. Didn't get a lot of news.
And then, so after we reopened 2 months later, those chairs were installed. So we went to 5 chairs. Hired a full-time hygienist. And then within a year, I think I had all 6 chairs, 2 full-time hygienists, 3 full-time assistants, 3 front desk.
Yeah.
We went from $1 million in production in our first year. And then we gradually grew that by about 30 to 40% for the first 5 years. And so now we do about 2.3 in production. I work 168 days per year, so I take 10 weeks off. Yeah, it's been fun. But we've considerably cut down our in-network relationships. We're only in network with 2 insurances, hospital and the school district, because I wanted those members of our community to have great access to great care. But we're still averaging 35 to 40 new patients per month. And we're at a point where my capacity to do dentistry is taxed. Oh, yeah. I can only spin a drill so much and so fast and continue to have the quality of care that I want. Yeah. So the opportunity to buy a new space came available to expand to about 3,000 square feet and 8 chairs. Yeah. So now we'll be able to have another hygienist and another associate in the practice. And luckily, the commute for my patients is only going to be about 60 feet because it was on the same floor.
That's right.
That's right. It was an amazing opportunity, and the timing was right for me to expand the practice.
Yep.
So it'll be 7.5 years after opening, I'll be expanding and continue to grow the practice.
What about culture and things like that? What have you built from a culture perspective internally within your practice? How fast did that happen? Because I think a lot of people are like, there's that blind spot of like leading a team and having a great team culture. What have you built inside of your practice, and how quickly did that happen?
I mean, culture started to get built from day one. It really starts with having a very, very crystal clear vision of what you want for your life and for your practice.
Yep.
And then making the hard decisions and the easy decisions sometimes to defend that vision. In my practice, there's been multiple times where I have slipped as the leader and allowed toxicity to seep into my culture. It takes a full team of people all working together to create a great culture.
Yeah.
And it takes one person to destroy it. And luckily, the culture that we created was good enough at times where my long-term employees would come to me and defend the culture, saying, hey, I just want to let you know, I thought about putting my resume on Indeed last night, but instead I decided to talk to you about it first. This is what's going on. This is why I'm not happy. What are you going to do about it? And in 7 years, I have fired probably 12 employees. And that was in defense of the company culture.
Yeah.
I've had to make very hard decisions about people that I really liked.
Yeah.
Or people that were exceptional at their position. But they've got to be both. They've got to be exceptional and really well liked and a team player and ready to show up. And when you allow a B- to be on an A team, it only brings the A players down. It doesn't bring the B up.
Yeah.
And so having that mindset, I think is reflected in over 955 star reviews. And it's because my team knows that I support them and want every day to be the best day at work for them.
Yeah.
And that I'm willing to make the hard choices to defend it for them.
The easy path is not better. And it stinks. And I think that's a lot of times it's like, it's hard to be able to then retrain somebody new, but you got to defend the brand and the culture and do what it is. Was there a point over the last 7 years, like, especially when you think back at the beginning, like first year or so, was there a point where did it stop feeling like keeping the lights on to like, this thing's working now?
Yeah. It was probably 3 years in where I could pull up annual reports and graph it and just see the trajectory line just up and down, but always more up.
Yeah.
And there were dips for sure. There were months where 3 years in where I'm like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? Like, how did we get so slow? Right. But there's, you make the modifications, you make the adjustments, and you continue. And then over the last 3 years, we've been at over 1.7, 1.8 in collections consistently. That's been where it's like, okay, we're at a place where if we continue to stay focused, we continue to work hard, that we have predictable success.
I think that's, because you're still a startup in that first couple of years.
Yeah. And for me, I think that that startup mentality for me changed when all the investments in the infrastructure were complete.
Yep.
I had all the chairs, I had all the employees,
yep,
and then I had all the toys, right?
Yep.
Like, then I got my 3D printer, right? Or in my mills and my scanner, right? Like, but I started at PVS and standard dentistry, right?
Yeah.
I didn't start out by spending all the dollars on all the toys.
Yeah.
It was a startup. Yeah. And so when we got to the point where I could continually reinvest, I paid down some debt, and I took my family on a 10-day vacation to Switzerland. Like that marked it for me.
You're in expansion mode, you're growing. One of my questions is like, there's this social media version of like what practice ownership is. That's a deep breath. Wow. Wow. That was, all right, folks, we're going to load up on this one. There is the social media version of what does the version look like to what's posted?
I think looking at social media perspective of practice ownership, there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands that post a lot.
Yeah.
And so that might reflect something about their experience of practice ownership.
Yeah.
Right. Is that they have a lot of extra time on their hands. So things probably in their practice aren't as busy as, they're not having a great time.
Yeah.
So they're going to be posting about that. Right.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people on the opposite side of the spectrum who want to just tell you how rosy it is and how amazing it is. And just do what I did.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. But that's like taking advice from the guy dating advice from the guy who married his high school girlfriend. You did it once and you got it right and it worked for you. That has no bearing on where you're at in your career, where you're at with your life goal. Like, good general advice is often terrible specific advice. And that's Facebook. That's all the Facebook groups that you see it's good general advice, and it's probably really bad specific advice.
Yep.
So when you're getting a bunch of free information, it's probably worth what you're paying.
I also feel like in some cases, I feel like social media has become, even within, for dentists, even for the industry, it's come down. It's been a little bit of a teardown. You know, it used to be like, hey, here's my photos. Here's where I'm at. Here's great. Now it's like, how do we tear apart people within, you know, whether it's industry, whether it's like, I think I've seen a few people, like, I feel like it's the older generation of doctors. I've seen people that, like, sometimes it feels like everyone's going to eat their own. And it's like, what's the purpose of that?
I will never post a clinical case on social media because of the culture that has been made evident.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes me pretty sad and frustrated too. In somebody will be asking for specific advice, and they'll get all of the you should have's, like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have, like, your opinion wasn't asked for about what should have been done in the past. Don't judge and shame people for where they're at.
Yeah.
Help them where they want to go. And I think that's a big challenge, is that people, as dentists, right, we have a success bias, in that we've studied hard, we're an expert, we're a true expert in one field, and then we think that applies to everything. And it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think that's reflected in social media posts. People who were experts in clinical dentistry and had great success,
yeah,
might not be the best person to give you marketing advice, might not be the best person to give you startup advice. They might not have even done a startup. Just buy in a rural, like, how many times, just buy a practice in a rural area and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. That advice is, oh man, the 40 questions that need to precede that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super dangerous to take social media advice, because it's either heavily biased, it's wrong, or not helpful.
And there's no context to it in a lot of cases too. Because if you ask me a question from this angle, it's like, but I don't know all the other, it's kind of like a patient coming into a practice saying, hey, what do you think? And you're not knowing the entire medical history of that patient to be able to give them sound advice.
Even in like the way that you coached and helped me start up my practice, is wildly different than what was done for Andrew Velo, right? It's like, we are two separate human beings on separate dental paths.
Yeah.
And advice that you gave me would be very ineffective, and the other way around.
Yep.
At getting me to where I want to be in my life. So yeah, that's the difference, like general advice versus specific.
And that's where it's like, I always warn everybody, it's like, where's that advice coming from? And I think it's, people seek out what benefits.
They think they want.
Yes. You know what? You're right. You know, the flooring wasn't done that way. And it's like, how can anybody give you advice on how flooring or how construction should go? Or you should own your real estate. Well, that's a broad advice to be able to provide if there was no availability for you to buy that real estate. Those are things that I hear all the time. It's like, I should have bought this. And it's like, you couldn't have bought that. Or
100%.
If it wasn't available to buy, yeah.
Yeah. You and I had this exact conversation in 2021. My lease space came available for sale in 2021. I could have bought the real estate that I'm currently leasing. Well, it would have been 500 square feet less than I actually needed.
Yep.
It would have limited me to that real estate forever,
Yep.
more than likely. And I was not in a financial position as an 18-month-old practice to put another $800,000 of debt on my balance sheet.
Yeah.
So no, it would have been nice to own then, sure, but I shouldn't have bought because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It for my specific situation, it would have been a bad financial investment long term.
And now you got to make that long-term decision.
Correct. Absolutely.
Which we talked a lot about.
Yeah, a lot. 7 years later, Steven, you're still my number one call for practice advice.
I'm here for you, my friend. I will be here anytime. 100%. Yeah. And that's the part, like, there's nothing better for me to have you here too, and others that are going to join on these Where Are They Now episodes. It's a thrill for me because it's like, it's a proud moment to be like, cool, I helped somebody get to that next stage of life. I wanted somebody to get something accomplished. It's a pride thing of like, cool. I love private practice ownership. I don't work at DSOs. I'm not going to support them. I'll gladly take all their associates and help them open up their own practices. That's why I love DSOs. Like, send them over. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing better to see like, hey, I got this. So if you look back 7 years ago, if you could have seen exactly where you'd be standing today, would you believe it?
Absolutely not. I didn't think that I would be at a point in my career where I was able to live the lifestyle I'm currently living.
Yeah.
I dreamed about it, but there was always that voice in the back of my head that's like, it's probably not for you though. That's other people can do that, not you.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is kind of as I was reflecting before this, the fundamentals that Ideal Practice has taught me about running a dental practice still hold true 7 years later. Those bumpers that were set in place still guide my practice today. So the investment that I made 7 years ago, I am still reaping the rewards for. And it's really cool. Because I've talked to people about my time working with Ideal Practices, and a lot of times they go, well, is it worth it? I don't know. I think I can do it on my own. I'm like, I am still benefiting from the decisions that I made 7 years ago. I am still benefiting from the relationships that I was introduced to 7 years ago. Right. That's the other thing, is that like the network that was created.
Yeah.
I remember that the water leak of 2020, right after we reopened back up.
Oh man, I remember that.
My model trimmer over the 4th of July weekend sprung, the hose popped off, and water for days.
I remember
on the second floor of a medical building, and it flooded my office. It flooded the downstairs office, and it was a massive problem.
Yeah, I remember.
And I called you and I called my network of providers and my insurance and everybody. I was like, guys, how do we get through this?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all hands on deck. Everybody a part of that network. Like, I'm getting chills now thinking about it. All jumped up and said, do this, move here, call them. And everything worked out.
Yeah.
And that got me through an incredibly stressful time in my life. Post-COVID, like middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Trying to get this practice back on its feet. And without that network, without those relationships, man, I'd have even less hair. I mean, I'm incredibly grateful for everything that looking back 7 years.
I forgot about that moment, man. That it seems so long. It's like, oh man, I remember. Like, I have a problem. What happened? My practice flooded. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That was a triage moment.
Yeah.
A lot of triage.
And I mean, that was a year after I opened, right? Like, and I still called you. It's like, hey, I know you're my startup consultant, but let's need some help. And that's cool. That's talks about the integrity and ethics that you guys have. Like, you are dedicated to the success of your company. Yeah.
I didn't show up with my galoshes on, but I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. Let's start figuring out what needs to be done. As we wrap up, what would you say directly to an associate who is exactly where you were before, like, you made the call to us? Like,
the number one thing I would say is bet on yourself, right? That's truly what it means to do a startup.
Yeah.
Is that there is risk, but the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward.
Yeah.
And when you put the right people around you, the risk drops significantly, but the reward doesn't. And it's a great process. It's a great experience. I would do it in a heartbeat over again. And
you are kind of doing it.
Oh, that's right. I am redoing this. But yeah, I think that it is absolutely still worth doing a startup, especially since the acquisition market has changed so much, and the hunger for patients to be in a private practice is getting bigger and bigger. The more that DSOs shape the market, the more high value patients are seeking private practice.
And you had a DSO open up how far away from you? 3 miles.
No, I had 3 DSOs open up within a half mile.
Okay.
And again, we talked about my numbers.
Yes.
Over 2 million in production.
Over 2 million in production. So folks.
On 10 weeks off a year.
10 weeks off a year.
Yeah.
$2.2 million in production. 3 DSOs opened up within a half a mile of his practice after he opened up his startup.
Correct. Both big private equity backed.
Yep.
They spent over $1.5 million just on their build outs. I mean, glitz and glam and chandeliers. I mean, it's ridiculous what these places look like.
Yeah.
But you can't replace personal care of a private practice.
You cannot. And I think that's such a message but it's not easy. That's what I want people to leave with, is like that opportunity exists. And to continue for it to be healthy and thrive within our industry, it still needs private practice ownership to truly care at that level, because private practice ownership is not spreadsheet based dentistry. It's human based dentistry. And that's what we want as consumers. I know I do. So, my friend, it is great to see you as always. It is always great to chat with you. Go down memory lane. Congratulations on your success. Congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish. More importantly, I know who you are in your community. I know who you are as a human that cares for patients. That's the biggest part that I want people to take away, is you can have purpose, you can have profits, but start with purpose. Dr. Ben led with purpose and now has a highly profitable, successful practice. So this is he is the first OG. Where are they now? I've got a couple more people that I'm going to have be joining us here in the near future, talk about their journey, and it's going to be super excited. So thank you again. So check out any show notes for any links and resources that we talked about today. Dr. Ben, great to see you, my friend. Thank you for sharing that journey, and let me know when the new office opens. Well, what are you looking? What's the timetable these days?
Probably early November, just down the road.
Awesome. And if anybody wants to learn more about Dr. Ben's journey, you see this on his left-hand shoulder. If you're looking at, he is the author of the 7-Figure Practice Blueprint.
There we go. Yeah. Available on Amazon. And if you want to hear more of my sultry voice, I read it for the Audible as well. So.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Bedtime story with Dr. Ben. All right, my friend. Great to see you.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, everybody.
As we wrap up this episode, take a moment to picture yourself a year from now. Are you still in your associateship, or are you rocking it at your own dental practice, creating beautiful smiles and making a real difference? If that's the dream, it's time to chase it. Before we split, make sure to hit subscribe, drop a review, and give us your rating. It helps us keep bringing you the good stuff that you're into. Until we meet again, keep taking that next step towards your future practice. Here's to investing in your dreams and making them a reality.